Hello everyone and welcome back to more Final Fantasy VII. We're at part 6 and we got a doozy of a part today. As you can see by the length, this is a much longer part, and it's because, well, I couldn't really find a stopping point at the 30-minute mark, so I just had to keep going. We just had to keep going to, all the way, we're finishing the Midgar segment of this game today, which if you know this game, you know that is essentially the prologue of Final Fantasy VII that leads to the game's events. So, yeah, I mean, it's not, I guess you could call it a prologue, that's what I called it, but, yeah. So what we're doing on floor 65 is we are basically we have to open these treasure chests in a certain order to get these Midgar parts. It's just a lot of back and forth. You put a part in, another chest opens up, yada yada yada, you know. And here we got a new enemy. This guy, he's pretty easy. You just cast Bolt on him and he dies pretty quick. But yeah, basically it's just a bunch of back and forth. Put in the Midgar parts, new chest opens up, go find the chest, then go back, put in more Midgar parts. It's not super interesting, but you know, it takes about a minute to do, so it's not like a terrible thing either. Yeah, we're just trudging along. We're gonna get to this is just a lot happens in this part, story wise, gameplay wise. This is a pretty big part here, so we got a lot to go over, a lot to do. You know, it's a fun time, exciting, and we're getting this last piece here, and then we can go up to the next floor, which is great. But yeah, the opening segment, I like I said, is kind of a prologue for the game, kind of an introduction that introduces you to the characters, the setting, the world, the general conflict, but it goes, of course, way more in depth later. But yeah, this is, I don't want to say this isn't part of the main game, because that would kind of be a dumb thing to say. Of course it is, but if you've noticed, like, most Final Fantasy games have an overworld and like have all of that stuff, and this game is no exception, but you don't get to the overworld until after this part, this Midgar section. But anyways, we are sneaking up in here so we can kind of tune into the Shinra executive meeting to see what they're talking about, what they're doing. And the damages for Sector 7 are 10 billion gil, and Reeve is talking about rebuilding it, and then to which the president says, we're not rebuilding, we're just going to increase Mako rates in all the other reactors to compensate, and the people will trust us because they're ignorant and we control the media, so it's not like they're going to be told anything bad about the Shinra. So Palmer, his torso is disconnected from the rest of his body there, so that's fun. Reeve questions this and asks, won't people lose confidence? But the president quickly shuts that down and is like, no, they'll trust them even more, because, as Heidegger puts it, they saved Sector 7 from Avalanche, when it actually was the complete opposite. They caused it in the first place. But anyways, we are getting introduced to a new character here. This is Hojo, a scientist that works for Shinra that is researching and experimenting on Aerith to try to understand what gives the Ancients their power. But as he says, the research will take more time than she could possibly be alive, so they're thinking about breeding her and then they can experiment on her offspring, so the research can be complete. So that's pretty dark, but as you'll find out, Hojo isn't exactly a great person. He's a bit of a maniac. In fact, there is a theory that I kind of buy into, that Hojo is the main villain of this game. Of course, on a surface level, he's definitely not, but I think it's an interesting theory because, as you'll find out, most of the things that happen in this game, the causes can be linked back to him. I won't say any more because I then we'll get into spoiler territory, and you'll see what I mean. But he's a character, all right, and it'd be best if you remembered him, especially since some stuff's about to go down here with Hojo. And we are about to get to floor 67. We don't need the key card. We're just gonna follow right after Hojo up to floor 67, and there I'm going to pause for a bit to try to steal some stuff. That enemy that had the carbon bangle more than spawn up here, so we're gonna steal more of those to give to the rest of our party members, and then we're gonna steal a new weapon for Cloud, the Hard Edge. That is a super good weapon for Cloud at this point in the game. I will be speeding that up, so it won't, because it took me about 10 minutes to get everything I need. I was getting kind of shit RNG with the enemy spawning and the steal rate, so I will be speeding it up, as you'll see here in just a second. But just know, this area, those robot dudes, that's where you can steal the carbon bangle. Here I am speeding it up. And then, not these guys, but there are more Shinra soldiers, and you could steal a Hard Edge from the Shinra soldiers. So yeah. But this took me, I've speeded up 30 times. Those enemies right there, you can steal carbon bangles from. But this took me about 10 minutes to do. I'm speeding it up a fuck ton to save time. But yeah. So that's fun. Hopefully you will get better luck than me if you were playing this game, if you're somehow using this as a guide or something. This isn't, if you're using this as a guide, you can do it. You'll get through the game fine. Just remember, this is not 100%. I'm not getting everything. I'm just playing this game kind of how I would usually play it. I will be handling optional super bosses and all of that stuff. But anyways, we'll get to that when we get to it. Here's Hojo kind of examining this weird animal as a specimen. And we're kind of seeing, what's going on. He mentioned breeding Aerith, which is not a great thought to think of, but Hojo is not the most, like I said, he's not the best person, but yeah, it's this weird lion dog creature that he was examining. I don't know what that is. I do know what that is, but for the sake of suspense, I'll be like, I don't know what that is. So he's experimenting on this poor creature, but Cloud is more focused on this other thing. Something else catches his eye here. This container, and he immediately recognizes what's inside. It's Jenova. And Jenova, oh boy, we'll get into Jenova later, but that's your first look at her. And Jenova, Cloud does not have a good reaction to seeing Jenova, so clearly something's going on there. But she is missing her head, which is weird. And also, as Cloud says there, Jenova clearly has some kind of connection to Sephiroth. So, and she is still alive, so this is all important stuff. And Barret just is like, where's its fucking head? This whole thing's stupid. That's a great line. This whole thing's stupid. But yeah, Cloud didn't react well to that. Jenova is being kept here. And we don't really know what Jenova is yet, but that's important to remember. That Jenova is a thing and is important. And I'm adjusting materia here. Usually when I play this game, I make Tifa kind of effectively the black mage at this point, and Barret the white mage, with healing spells and stuff like that. So I'm just switching that around here. It doesn't really matter who has what. Tifa, stat-wise, is really good with physical attacks and stuff, but because Cloud is the best with physical attacks, I typically give her magic stuff. I also don't really use her in the party, like later in the game. But for now, we have to use her here. But yeah, Tifa is a great character, but Tifa is not my favorite party member. Her limit breaks are a little you know, they aren't the best. But there's Aerith. We found her, but Hojo is right there, ready to do his little breeding thing, as you'll see. And then Cloud dashes towards him, but Hojo is like, maybe you shouldn't, because I'm the only one that knows how to free Aerith. So, you know, if you're wanting to get her out of there, you're gonna want to not kill me, which, fair. And oh no, it's that creature. Hojo is trying to get this weird freakish animal and Aerith to breed, so that's a little ugh. And Hojo doesn't see any problem with this at all. He just thinks, I'm helping these two species continue on. Where Tifa immediately steps in and is like, what the fuck, Aerith's a human being, dude, what are you doing? And Barret, being Barret, is just like, I'm just gonna shoot the shit out of this thing to try to get them out of here. And it somehow works, as we'll see here. But that's classic Barret. And then the creature attacks Hojo, as you do when you... That's the person. If somebody held me in like this capsule and experimented on me, if I got the chance, I would beat the shit out of them too. So, but something else is coming up from the elevator, and that's not a good sign. And the creature spoke. Okay, so I'm gonna send Tifa to take care of Aerith, and then we have a boss fight coming up, and this is our new party member, Red 13. We found a new party member, and Red 13, he's a really good party member. I don't use him for this playthrough, but a lot. But if you want to use him, of course, there's no wrong answers in this game as long as you have good materia, and that's kind of an issue here. With this game, because characters aren't really different from each other. Because all the abilities and spells you have are determined by materia, there's really not any reason to use one character over another, and I was an idiot there and thought that it was weak to the poison materia, but it's not. The only thing that separates characters are limit breaks, and limit breaks you get fairly infrequently, especially later in the game, so that's, there's not really a reason to use one character over another, except the kind of weapons that they use. So basically how I go about it is, whoever has long range weapons, you have to use Cloud. And then whoever has long range weapons are the party members that I use, so I can keep them in the back row so they take less damage. So, and that'll play more later once we get more party members and have more freedom on who we bring along. But yeah, but ultimately, because it's all in materia, it doesn't really matter who you bring along. You just kind of gotta, the materia is what's important here. But anyways, this boss is not too bad. This introduces status effects. I don't think they've been in this game so far. They have, actually. I'm an idiot. But this is the first boss to really bring in status effects. He likes to poison you. But luckily, I have Cloud with a Star Pendant, so Cloud cannot get poisoned right now. Barret and Red 13 aren't quite as lucky, but he has these three guys in the front. They don't really do much. I mainly focus to get this boss fight done with faster. I focus on him in the back. And if he dies, all of them die, so that's good. Yeah, he doesn't like fire very much, so casting fire is good. All that stuff. I accidentally used the limit break on that guy in the front rather than the back one, but it's okay. We're gonna win. Of course, if I lose a fight or something in recording, I'm gonna cut it out just to save time. But I will tell you if I lost a fight or some shit, because I'm not trying to hide the fact that I suck at everything. But yeah, it just won't be in the video because, you know, that's just kind of a waste of time to show a fight that I lose and then I have to do it again. But that materia that he dropped there, well, first of all, this is Red 13's theme, and this is a really good theme. And Red 13's kind of vague about who he is, and he's like kind of just like, I am what you see, but let's just get the fuck out of here for right now. And he claims that he was just acting like an animal to throw Hojo off guard, which I think is bullshit. I think he just wanted to get in Aerith's pants, but it's okay. It's okay. He means well. But yeah. And this is me, thinking to myself about who I should bring along. And then I remember that I need to get the materia off of Red 13 before I switch him out. But I'm gonna bring Tifa along. But yeah, that materia that boss dropped will end up becoming one of the most important materia in the game. He dropped the enemy skill materia that we're about to pick up. It won't become useful until we get out of Midgar, but if you know how to use enemy skills and know where to get the best enemy skills, it can be such a huge help pretty much through the entire game. In fact, yeah, I will be using enemy skill. I even use multiple enemy skills during the final boss fight. So, enemy skills, excuse me, enemy skills are very useful. It's essentially, if you've played any other Final Fantasy, it's essentially blue magic, where you learn spells from enemies. And if you know, especially Final Fantasy V, you know that blue magic is really fucking useful. And this game is no different. Blue magic is really useful. I highly recommend you use enemy skills in this game. It just makes the journey so much more comfortable because you can get some crazy stuff way early on if you know where to look. But anyways, we are trying to get out of here. I remember that that's not the way I'm supposed to go because I don't have the key card. But we are getting out of here. We have Aerith now. We're just skedaddling the fuck out of here. But yeah, just remember that, and I'll show where all the enemy skills that I use, I'll show where they are, because all the ones that I use, of course, are very useful. I will not be maxing out. I will not be getting all the enemy skills because some of them are more useful than others. Some of them are pretty fucking useless, but the ones that are good are really fucking good. Uh-oh. It's one of the Turks. Would you press up? How rude. It's a pun. Yep, they've fallen into a trap. So, you know. Well, we've been had. We are now trapped by the Shinra, and we're getting brought up to speak with the president himself. So this has gone really well. What an escape plan, right? Get on the elevator. But yeah. And Cloud's looking around like, you all got caught too. But here is the president being a little too chatty. He's gonna basically tell Cloud and the gang his plan, what they're trying to accomplish currently. And this is important. The Ancients are also known as the Cetra. As you know, Aerith is the last surviving Ancient, but they're also known as the Cetra. Just remember, Ancients and Cetra are the same thing, so when they throw around the term Cetra, that's what they're talking about. And they are searching for the Promised Land because the Promised Land is known to have fertile land, and with fertile land, that means Mako. And, you know, they make money off of extracting Mako from the earth. So if there's a place with a shit ton of Mako energy, they wanna find it. And Shinra says here, money and power is all you need to make your dreams come true, which and Barret has to get pushed away. This song is very cool. I like this song. I like this soundtrack. If you need something else, talk to my secretary. Oh, excuse me. I'm coughing. And here we are now trapped in jail. So that's fun. And now here we can, we can have some insight into other characters, what they're thinking, all that stuff. Well, that's sweet, Cloud. And Tifa immediately steps up and is like, hey, oh, I get it. Excuse me. And Tifa kind of diverts the subject. So Aerith doesn't even know if the Promised Land exists or not. It's in legends. They unlock the planet, huh? But yeah. Just what does the planet say? It's noisy. Yeah, makes sense, Aerith. Midgar's no longer safe, huh? You'll speak with the planet. But yeah, we're gonna check in on everyone, of course. There you go. The Ancients know where the Promised Land is. And that's why the Shinra wants Aerith. There you go, there's the explanation. But, yeah. Basically, if the Shinra get to the Promised Land, it's not a good thing. They're gonna drain up all the Mako energy. The planet will not be in good shape after that, if the Promised Land really exists after all. You're so damn boring. Grandpa. Granddad. Yeah. And now we're gonna go to sleep. Because we have nothing else to do. We're trapped after all. So might as well go to sleep. Hopefully something will come up later on. We'll find out. Well, would you look at that? That's convenient. The door's open. When did it open? What the hell? That's weird. Something weird's going on. And now there's a dead body. So that's fun. Something's happened. But yeah, this is not normal. And the music's gotten all ominous, so you know something's up. We got a key from him. We're gonna let everyone else out, figure out what the fuck's going on. How'd you get in? Why was only Cloud's door open? That's a little odd. Oh yeah, I need to go talk. I have a couple, I can't remember what to do a few times in this game. But yeah. Here I am, getting Aerith all equipped with materia. And now giving Cloud the cover materia because he has the highest defense. Even though Aerith is in the back row, we don't want her taking too many hits, just because her defense is a little lower. Her inherent stats favor magic more than anything else. Well, that's a dead body, and there's blood everywhere, so this isn't looking good. And Jenova's loose, so that's really not good. Or, I mean, I think it's safe to say Jenova's not good news, considering that she is this headless monster with an eye for a nipple. It leads up. What are we gonna find at the top? Oh, a battle. Some of the monsters that Hojo was experimenting on have broken loose, so that's what we're fighting here. Of course, none of these guys are too bad, and you just cast some spells on them. They go down pretty quick. So it's fine. We're good. There goes one, and the other should be going down any minute now. In case you haven't noticed, this game kind of has the same thing that... I mean, this has been a staple in the series since the first game, but depending on what weapon the party members have equipped, the model will change. So there's models for every weapon in battle. So now that I've changed Cloud's weapon to the Hard Edge, for example, now instead he's no longer holding the same sword, he's holding the Hard Edge. That seems pretty basic by today's standards, but Final Fantasy's been doing that since the first game, and in the 80s, when that was new, that was incredibly impressive graphically, and I go the wrong way here. Because it's like, that's just a lot of, you have to kind of change the sprite every time, so that was pretty cool. But anyways, we're going up to the top floor. Let's see what happened here. Well, this isn't good. The leader of Shinra Inc. is dead. Our dog, Brian Griffin. No. This is one of those first, like, what the fuck moments in this game. So Sephiroth broke into this place, killed everyone, including the president, and is now on the run. So why did Sephiroth kill the Shinra? What did he want? You really saw him? He doesn't want the Shinra to have the Promised Land. So the Promised Land does exist, and Sephiroth is here to get it. And then Barrett suggests that Sephiroth might not be a bad guy if he hates the Shinra the same way that they do, but then Cloud immediately is like, no, Sephiroth's different. Sephiroth cannot, Sephiroth does not have good intentions here. So Sephiroth and Cloud very clearly have a history, because Cloud sounds very sure about that Sephiroth does not have good intentions at all with what he's doing. But now that the president is dead, his son Rufus is now taking over as the president of Shinra Inc. And Rufus, let's just say, he's not as nice as his father. He gives a speech here. I mean, his father kind of likes speeches too, but where he's going to talk about how he doesn't like his dad's policy of controlling the world with money and a smile and keeping everybody ignorant and all that. He's going to try to control the world with fear, because he thinks that will be a lot more effective and save money for them, because they won't have to waste money trying to appease the people. Instead, let's just make them scared. Fear is a very powerful tactic for control, isn't it? Once again, it's almost like a corporation doesn't have the people's best interest in mind. This is kind of almost a cautionary tale of what happens. It's dangerous. If you give a corporation too much power, they need to be, like, I guess, regulated? Not to get political or anything, but I think this game's asking for, some political discussion about it. And I love that about it. But once again, it kind of brings up the question of who's really, the good guys and bad guys here. Are the Shinra bad for what they're doing? Or are we bad for what we're doing? is everyone who works for the Shinra bad, or is it just some people? Interesting questions, I think. As I am adjusting materia here, we're going to get to kind of a boss fight here. It's not going to play the boss theme or anything, but it's enough of a fight. I would consider it a boss fight. I'm giving Barret an electrically charged weapon, because that's fun. And because the boss is metallic, so having him just be able to do a normal attack and have it do electric damage is going to be useful, because I can basically cast lightning on it without it wasting MP. Like I said, this game, it's not going to throw anything crazy at us yet, like, well, difficulty-wise anyway. Story-wise, I mean, the president of Shinra, who it was kind of setting up to be the villain, is now dead. Without spoiling anything about it, I think it's pretty clear that the main villain of this game is Sephiroth, and he is. Because Sephiroth, there's a lot of mystery around him though that we don't know, but he's a great villain, and I'll go into why once we learn more about him. But I mean, already he's a pretty big threat. I mean, he just walked into the Shinra building, killed everyone there, including the president. Like, he doesn't fuck around. He's after something. He's after the Promised Land. This boss fight, like I said, isn't too hard. Just heal whenever you need it. Otherwise, just be casting spells on it, and then you're good. The one thing about it is it takes a little while, almost a little too long. But, you know, it's fine. Just keep casting spells like that, and then it'll be good. I think I will be able to show off Red 13's limit break here, which is, it's a good limit break, I'd say. Here in a bit, when the next time Red 13 takes a hit, he will be able to use it. It's a good limit break. It does a good amount of damage. You know, it's just one of those where he just hits them really fucking hard, so that's good. There we go, there it is. Use that limit break. Sled Fang. He just rams into him. There he goes. Beautiful. Perfect. And yeah, so that's pretty much all there is to this boss fight. Not super complicated, not a whole lot to it. It just takes a little while. Just have some patience, and you know, it'll be fine. But yeah. As I said, the materia system in this game is something I really enjoy, because you could probably approach this fight in a million different ways, and now we're heading into another thing that's going to appear, and it's just the same strategy. It's also metal, it's just lightning, doesn't like lightning. There you go. You can approach this game because of the materia system in so many different ways. I'm sure everyone has different strategies for how they approach things, and I think that's great. There's a ton of freedom in this game's battle system that I think is really, really great. It's kind of almost unparalleled. I think the only game that I can immediately think of that has more freedom than this is Final Fantasy V. But even then, that game is much harder, so maybe sometimes you kind of can't, you can't be an idiot in Final Fantasy V. You actually have to be thinking about like your party setups and stuff. But still, there's a ton of freedom there. Gameplay-wise, 5 is one of my favorites in the whole series. The one thing about 5 is the story is not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just kind of not anything special. So that kind of puts it a little bit below something like this game, or Final Fantasy VI, or Final Fantasy IX to me, because the story isn't as good. But the gameplay is arguably better than pretty much any other mainline Final Fantasy game, because it's one of the few that actually offers a challenge, and you know, it actually makes you think about what you're doing. Basically, I recommend Final Fantasy V. It's a good one. We should be wrapping up this fight here in just a bit, but yeah, I am not to discredit this game's gameplay at all, because I think this game, like I said, is one of the strongest games gameplay-wise in the series. Just because of the materia system and how strong it is and how well it works. Anyways, that boss is dead. There we go. And now we can keep moving along through this game. Sorry if I think I knocked something a little bit. That was weird. Anyways. And now we're going to Cloud. And this is a one-on-one fight between Cloud and Rufus. So we need to get Cloud well equipped with all the materia. It's not a hard fight at all. Just give him a restore one in case, you know, he gets hurt. And that's about it. I think I give him... Yeah, I give him Steal and Cover just because those increase his stats a little bit, but... and Poison for some reason. I don't know. Sense. Why not? Let's just have it. Get the AP on those materia. I have not used Sense a single time. And I probably won't use it a single time in this playthrough. So that's fun. I guess this means we won't become friends. Oh really, Rufus? Here we have this boss fight. The first thing you should do with this boss is get rid of that fucking dog, because it will cast Barrier and Magic Barrier on himself and Rufus. So the faster you can kill that thing, the better. But then after that, it's just basically attack Rufus until he's dead, and if you get on low health, heal yourself. Not a super deep fight. It's one-on-one, you know. It's not meant to be this super deep fight. And there goes that thing. And he's laughing. But yeah, you just hit him with whatever you got. Not a super deep fight, like I said. But it's not really supposed to be. It's still cool. You're fighting him on the roof of this giant skyscraper. There's a helicopter flying in the background. The production values are super nice here. And there I am almost attacking him, and I'm like, wait, limit. Yeah, the production values for this game are just kind of crazy. Because, you know... Oh, and he's paralyzed now. That's the cross/paralysis working. You just got to keep in mind, you know, Final Fantasy VII came out in 1997, so these graphics were really, really impressive for the time. I mean, he jumps on that helicopter, flies away. The animation especially is something that's really impressive. A lot of animation in games at this time were very stiff and awkward, and in this game, in battles especially, model animations are top notch. They look really great. Even if the models themselves, you know, are pretty low poly, the animations are excellent. But anyways, we're gonna skedaddle the fuck out of here. And we are almost out of Midgar. We have one last thing to do, and it's a pretty big thing. It's a fun little mini game that anybody who's played this game probably remembers fondly, because it is pretty cool. I'm saving really quick. Always save. Saving never hurts. Saving is the best. There's me thinking for a second about which save file. I'm trying to keep it organized, you know, just in case I look at the video and like something goes horribly wrong and maybe the footage gets corrupted. So I can just reload the save file that I had before the part and start over. So I, you know, because if I save over that and then I turn out a part's corrupted or some shit, then I kind of would need to start over, you know, the whole game, and that would be rough. And anyways, they are escaping out of here, but they're surrounded, so that's not good. And Aerith offers to sacrifice herself to get everyone else out, but Barrett's immediately like, nope, you helped Marlene, so I'm gonna help you. And then she calls him Mr. Barrett, and Barrett's like, nah, don't call me Mr. Barret. Barret is just that. Barret's good. And he calls Red 13 cold. And there's Tifa, but where's Cloud? And then Tifa directs them over here. She knows something they don't, but we're about to see in a second where Cloud is. Ooh, an FMV. Man, that doesn't look dated at all. It's Cloud's on a motorcycle, so that's fun. And we got a neat little minigame coming up here, where Cloud's gonna ride around on a motorcycle, and it's one of the better minigames in this game. I think it's fun. Like I said, the minigames in this game are kind of hit and miss. This one I think is really fun and exciting, because it actually controls well and it's very action oriented. So it's good, basically. Good minigame. And this FMV is really cool too. I know it looks dated, but just gotta keep in mind the time period. Like, video games just didn't look like this. The cinematics here are really impressive. But anyways, this is just a little tutorial explaining how the minigame works. And then here I am. I spend about a minute and a half here menuing, because I'm trying to figure out who I want on who, so I speed through that, just to save time. You know, this part's already almost 50 minutes, so whatever time I can cut out is probably for the best. And also, me menuing for a minute and a half isn't the most exciting thing. But basically, this minigame's pretty simple. You just are trying to get the bad guys away from the car that everyone else is on. If they make contact, the party will take damage, and your party, for the fight, there's going to be a boss fight at the end of this, and depending on how much damage they've taken, that will translate into the boss fight. So they start at full health, but if they take too much damage because you suck at this minigame, you'll start at the boss fight at low health, and then you got to scramble to heal early on so he doesn't kill your party. But other than that, this minigame, like I said, it's pretty simple. You're just hitting these bad guys away. But it looks pretty cool. You know, PlayStation 1, you gotta keep that in mind. Still, graphics-wise, looks pretty cool. It's pretty fun. It's a fun mix-up from, like, it's much more action-oriented. It's a fun little diversion from the usual RPG gameplay. And you also gotta keep in mind, this is the 7th game in the series, so they were probably, of course they were looking for ways to mix it up a bit. Because, before this, there wasn't a lot of this kind of stuff. 6 kind of had some mini games. Specifically, there was kind of these tower defense things where, like, it would give you a horde of enemies and you would have to switch between party members to block them off from getting somewhere. But it only did that a few times, and honestly, those are my least favorite part of Final Fantasy VI because I think they go on a little too long. But here, there are many more mini games, and they're handled for the most part better. And also, what that minigame in 6 kind of still is still just battling, just with a tower defense gimmick. And here's the boss right here. This boss, once again, isn't too bad. If you start at low health, of course you're gonna have to heal, but we're at fine health for this fight, so it's no big deal. But yeah. And here we go. The one thing is this boss fight can hit all party members, has an attack where it can hit all party members for like 150 something damage or something like that. Just watch out for that, because that can hurt. That can hurt real bad. So just keep your party members at decent health during this fight, and you should be fine. I wouldn't, don't stress too much. It's not too bad. And Cloud, also it's a back attack, and I forgot. I should have had it set everybody in reverse rows, but I forgot to do that. So I'm just taking a turn to change their rows back, because this fight does begin as a back attack. And Barret is here taking a lot of damage. But as you see, Cloud with that elemental materia, lightning elemental, is doing about 200 damage a turn. And that's going to help with this fight a lot, help get through it faster. Blue materia are useful. You should use them in your playthrough. There's that attack. That hurts pretty bad. That's not the one I'm talking about though. There's one that does even more than that. Oh, that's a nice crit. 400 damage there. Just ramming into him. Barret has a limit break now. That's good. And because limit breaks take priority, he is doing that next. Great. Yeah, this is the last boss fight in Midgar. After that, we are done. We get the overworld, and the game begins proper, I guess you could say. I love this opening a lot, though. A lot happens, first of all, and it's exciting. Like, it doesn't feel like a tutorial area or anything like that. This is the move that I'm talking about. This move hurts, as you can see. But yeah. Oh god, excuse me. So yeah, just keep your party members at decent health so they can take that. Otherwise, you know, he can just one-shot your party. But other than that, other than the move where he one-shots your party, this boss fight's pretty easy. No, but yeah, I like this section because it technically, I guess, is a tutorial of sorts, but it never feels like a tutorial. A lot of games like this, the beginning parts really feel tutorial-y, and it's kind of infuriating. And this doesn't feel like that. A lot's happening, it keeps it fun and interesting, and it moves. Like, it keeps things moving to keep things fun, and I really appreciate that, and I think some modern games could take notes of this is how you open a video game. And I love this song. This song's played a few times in this game already. I love this song. He has to settle the score. So yeah, there's a history there. Something happened between him and Sephiroth. And then Barret says, you know, if it's for the fate of the planet, then he's gonna go. Because Cloud not only doesn't think Sephiroth has good intentions, but he thinks his intentions could potentially lead to the end of the world. So that's pretty bad. Clearly, he thinks Sephiroth is a pretty huge threat. So now we gotta find Sephiroth and put a stop to whatever he's doing. And thus, Final Fantasy VII begins, truly. I guess this is the start of our journey. Yep, you are right. But yeah, it's almost like anytime I get to this point in the game, it's almost like it does make me happy. This game is great. This game does make me happy, but at this point I'm like, at this point in the game always is like, now we're really getting started. Like, you know, the journey begins again. Here we go again. And I love that. And now Cloud is the official leader of everyone, of the party. So now we are going, our next destination is going to be northeast to a town called Kalm, where we will be going next part. Because of course, this part's almost 50 minutes already. It's time to wrap things up here. But yeah. First I'm gonna have to do some menuing, you know, get the everyone equipped properly for the journey into the overworld for the first time. And this is, like I said, gameplay wise especially, this is where the game really gets started, and it's great. But yeah, so welcome to the overworld. As you can see here, we won't be traversing it until next part, but I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Thank you guys for watching. And the next part's going to be a huge story part, so stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and see you guys next time for more Final Fantasy VII.